When I was researching this issue, it seems to me there are very few people, especially in politics, who are willing to identify what the problems are and suggest reforms. One of these few people who is suggesting reform is Fred Fleitz. He's a frequent guest on this show. He's also the former chief of staff for John Bolton. He worked for the National Security Advisory Office. And this is what he wrote. And I want to read this. He said, although the 2004 Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act created the position of the Director of National Intelligence as a new official to oversee all U.S. intelligence agencies, to ensure that these agencies would cooperate and share information, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has developed into a huge additional layer of bureaucracy with far too many officials that has made American intelligence analysis and collection less efficient and more risk-averse. He says the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has made this problem much worse, not just because it is an additional layer of stifling bureaucracy, but also because it has become a 17th intelligence agency with its own intelligence analysts, thousands of employees, and a huge and ever-growing budget. Chris, in 2007, the House Intelligence Committee tried to cut back on the budget of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, but that never went into effect. And so even though many people think that spending is under control, it never was controlled.
No, and it's going to take leadership from inside the intelligence community to do that. And so far, that has not taken place. And you mentioned Fred Fleitz. I think Fred Fleitz is somebody who really could do this because, let's be clear, Fred Fleitz is a realist, right? John Bolton consistently is labeled a neocon. And one thing that you can say if you actually review Fred Fleitz's material is that even though he was John Bolton's chief of staff, he is very much not a neocon, he is a realist, and he's someone who recognizes that Donald Trump was elected to get the United States out of wars rather than getting us into them. He spent over 2 decades inside of the CIA. He's not some elected official. He's not somebody who served in the Senate, for example, and oversaw these organizations. He was inside of them. And so when it comes to what you're talking about, Liz, that is reforming these organizations and trying to get them under control, you really need somebody like this, a realist, a professional who is at the sort of the pinnacle of his career, somebody who could come in and really take it away, as they say.
Right, and like you said, who has 2 decades of experience. And another note that I would make about Fred Fleitz, if the intelligence community is arguing against someone like Fred Fleitz, that right there is your signal that he would do a good job. Because the intelligence community, that bureaucracy, doesn't want their house cleaned. And so if they don't want you there, it's a pretty good signal that he will clean house and reform an intelligence community that collectively, at least at the leadership level, attempted to wage a coup against a duly elected president. That needs to be reformed. We need to clean house so that doesn't happen again.